What's up, guys? About to go drop this thing off at my machine guy and realized that I hadn't made a video on it yet. So this is going to be a little different than what we normally do. Just a normal motor rebuild, but this is a 420 bottom end, older body style 420 Rancher. And we're going to put a new 520 cylinder on it. And I've got a new cylinder and a new gasket here. Problem is this outside diameter of this cylinder is just a hair bit too big to fit down in this case. So you got to get either the cylinder bored down or milled down, or the case machined out. And I'm going to go with the case in this case. I'm not real fond of cutting this sleeve any skinnier than it is. You just run into problems with heat dissipation. I think you would, or I don't want to do that. So we're going to keep that together. This is a new base gasket. I'm going to lay it on here just to show you, and I might can get you some measurements after I drop it off with my engine guy, but you got to put this on in the right direction. Flip it over. So this is the base gasket here, and you can see that's how much we've got to get machined down. It's just a sliver of metal. I guess some people might be able to do that with a die grinder, but I'm not going to do it because that's just too much time, and I don't know what it'll end up looking like. But it's if I had to guess, I'd say about maybe a 1/16 of an inch that has to be machined out. And naturally, this slides over the cylinder, and the cylinder actually has a little bit of play from this. So it's not quite, it's not actually that big. But what my philosophy is, so you got a little bit of play there on the cylinder. But what my philosophy is, if I get it to the gasket, the hole to match the gasket, then the cylinder will definitely slide down over top of it. And I'm doing a bottom end, everything on this one. Actually, I got a brand new cylinder, piston, rings, everything to go back in. So I'm gonna see if I can drop this off from the engine guy today, and there's a chance he might be able to pop this out and get it back to me pretty quick. And I can show you the thing running probably next, or I may show a little bit of a video just sticking it together, because I hadn't seen any of these online. I know maybe one or two people that have done this, and they went at it a little bit different direction. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to do it, and we'll see if it'll work. All right, guys. I'll pick up with you when I get some parts back. All right, guys. Finally got this case back on this 520 build we're doing. This is a 420 case. I don't think the 520 cases or the 500 case is any different, but just got this back from a machine guy, and he actually just machined the case out here. He said it was about 2 millimeters that he had to go over. I'll give you some measurements off of it, but he did say that he had to go in here with the die grinder. You can see a little bit of work down here at the bottom where it had to he had to grind out just a little bit of the case in order to let the cylinder set all the way down in there. You can see it's got some mechanics down here. That's what he was using to try to tell where it was hitting at, and I think he didn't really cut into anything too bad there, so I think we're going to be good there. And I think this is going to be a better option than machining down the actual cylinder, because I'm not real big on getting the cylinder any skinnier or any thinner than it has to be, just for heat purposes. So I'm going to slide this little snap gauge in here. I'm sorry, but I don't have a metric set of calipers big enough to stretch out to this gauge, but I do have a set of standards here. See what it comes out to. Just if you're curious, I'm sure you could probably take this to your engine guy and let him do it for you. It's a little bit more than I could probably do with a die grinder, or actually I probably could, but it wouldn't look nowhere near this clean. So tighten it down there, and it looks like 4 inches. This is on a 10th scale, So 4.165 looks like inches is what it's machined out to. And just kind of went down a little deeper there, like I said, so you could get the cylinder in. I'm gonna run this thing to my parts washer and get all these little metal shavings out of here, and then I'm gonna start putting it back together. Probably gonna go ahead and do the bottom end on it before I cut the camera back on. I've got some other videos on here of how to put these back together. This is pretty much the same as any 420 or 500 that I've got on here, newer model ones. So I'm gonna get this thing cleaned up, and I'll cut the camera back on when I start doing the top end, because I think that's what everybody is concerned with in this case. Alright, cut it back on a little bit. Alright guys, still working on the bottom end of this 420, 500, 520. Actually, it's not a 500, 520. We're doing all kind of goodies to this thing. Next thing I'm gonna put in is a gear reduction from Reduction Boss. This is 53%. Guy named Jeremy Lee makes these things out of North Carolina, and I've always used his reductions, and he makes some good stuff. One-piece gear. That's some nice machining on that thing. Used to have issues with these things, the earlier ones. The bushings wouldn't slide over the shafts good, stuff like that. You can see that one slides over there, it's real smooth. They also used to have a recess in the back of them. Had to put a washer in there. Naturally, this one you just leave the washer out. He compensated for that, where that washer would have spaced this out in the length of that. The basket here is not a welded gear, it's a machine gear. He did grind the rivets out there, but replace those with bolts. You have to get the little bushing that goes in the back of this to make it work right. I just haven't got it yet. And his kits also come with new clutch springs. You get anything over about a 35%, sometimes it'll slip these change clutches. So these new clutch springs help to alleviate that. This one here is actually a, let me grab that bushing and I can show you how it slides on. This little bushing here, it just slides in the back of the case like that. And this 53% is supposed to be a no grind install. You can see right there, it's real close. Also, these old gear reduction kits, a lot of times when they weld these gears on, you'd have a little tight spot. Sometimes had to go in and grind the teeth down and all that. But this new stuff that Jeremy's putting out, I won't say it's just like factory, but it might be better than factory. It's clean, works great. So now I'm gonna take this back off just because I got to put all the clutch discs back in here and the springs on. We'll get it slapped back on there, and then I'll cut the camera back on when I get back to the top end. I just wanted to show you guys that reduction. So this is a 53%. I think he does make a bigger one than this. As you can see, that gear doesn't have a whole lot of clearance. So what you do on the big one, actually I've got a 500 laying in the floor over there with it in it. I think it's a 69%. You have to grind some of the case out. I'll show that on that 500 when I get to working on it in a few days. So let me get this back together. I'll cut the camera back on when I start working on the top. Alright guys, getting ready to put this top end on this 420, 520 motor. I got the cylinder cleaned out good. I know it looks like a mess here, but I just got everything over here so I wouldn't have to stop. The two dowels in here already have the base gasket on and the rings on the piston. Shoot a little bit of oil in your cylinder here, and this is a 520 cylinder. And see, it's got this dial on here. That was just so my machinist could figure out what to cut out on the case to make it fit. So just slide this thing over. It fits right on to your head studs. Snap your rings in. Hopefully this isn't going to take too long and I'll be able to keep the camera running the whole time. Sometimes these go good, sometimes these go not so good. Just work them down, so won't do one side and then snap the other side in. Just won't want to force it down because they will fold over on you sometimes and make a mess. This one's going on real well here. Get these bottom oil ring ones on. I know I didn't show putting all this back together, but this is identical to the 420, which I already got a video of a full rebuild on that. The only difference with these is naturally machining that case out. But I just wanted to show y'all that it would work. But rock that thing back and forth. Got one more ring to snap by here. Piston's going in there a little bit crooked. There it goes. Slides right down on there. Pretty tight fit into the case. Looks like a real tight fit. Let me tap this thing down. Got kind of hung up on the dowels going in. So there it is, all the way down. You can see that it's all the way down on the gasket there. So got that part down. Next thing we need to put on is the head gasket here. It's a brand new one from Honda, so we're not going to put anything on it. Got both the dowels already in that cylinder right there. I did lap the valves on this head, so it should be good to go. Slide this down on there, just like that, and then put your acorn bolts on there. Torque on them is, let me see here in my book. Somewhere. Torque is 29 foot-pounds, 39 Newton meters on the acorn nuts. It's got that 12 millimeter bolt in it. It doesn't actually give you a torque spec on it. It just says to tighten it down tight. So what I usually do is torque down the acorns. Make sure you put your washers on those. Torque them down in a couple steps, and then just tighten up that 12 millimeter. Alright, so that's pretty much it. I'm going to put the push rods in, go ahead and bolt this top on. I'll have to get the bike over here and get the thing put back together, put back on the bike at least. And I'll show you another video when we finally crank this thing up to let y'all see it run. So, alright, I'll check back in with you later. Alright guys, here goes the first start on this thing. Oh, may not be the first start. Well, it's running. Alright guys, it's making a little bit of noise on the back end, sounds like there, but we'll figure that out. But it runs, and I hope nothing's on fire. No, that's just oil off the exhaust pipe, so Well, there you go. 520 will work on a 420. So y'all check out my other videos. I'll probably have some videos of this guy tearing this thing up. I'm pretty sure it'll be back over here. So y'all have a good night. Guys, that last video, this thing was rattling pretty bad, and I just want to show you that that wasn't the motor. We figured out what it was. See if it'll crank back up. It's got a little bit of compression. It's the muffler. This thing, I mean, we ain't in a prayer. The clamp's barely holding it on, but you can hear the motor runs quiet. So it works. Figure I'll probably be doing a few more of these. So, all right, guys, y'all check out my other videos. Have a good night.